I shot him and he hit the ground. I mean, he was doing a die-do, bouncing around that 3-4 foot high. Run down there to pick him up, and he got up. He had a broke wing, and I knocked him down. And I said, my God, he's fixing to get away. And I just tried to shoot his head, bow! And I just shot a big old hole in the ground. I missed his head because if I'd have shot the whole turkey, I'd have tore him all to pieces. And I missed him, he got out, he's going right down the pine run, and I said, well, one more shot. And I shot him and just rolled him over. And it was cloudy, like I said. And during all this time and around in them pines, everything looks alike. To me it does. Anybody else that's ever been in there. You can't, excuse me, you can't tell where you're at.
A gentleman came to my door, and the gentleman was a huge man. I'd say about 6'2", a large face, the type, I mean, more like you'd say he's more the Hercules type. And he asked me, he says, are you Floyd McClure? And I said, yes, sir. He says, do you have the pet cemetery across the street? My house is right across the street from the cemetery. And I said, yes, sir. And he started crying. I thought, my, what, I asked him, what's wrong? And he said, well, last night my dog died. And he says, I wanted to bury him this morning. And his family was home and that, and they were going to go to church and that. But he had him completely wrapped in like a mummy, partner.
They said he was 65 years old. I don't know about that now. That's a long life for a mule. But he eventually died. They rooted him over into that pond. Just old skeleton lying there with a hide all on him, just as tough as anything you ever see. And a big hole in his throat here where the buzzards and things would eat him every bit of they could. They couldn't eat him all. And I was a-fishing in there one day and dropped my bait down there at that hole, that old mule laying in there, you know, all puffed up, all dried up on the skeleton. And there's a big warmouth perch run out of him up here and bit my hook. Took it in that old mule right that quick, you know. And he got off of there, got loose, and I went to pull the hook out, and I must have hung it on one of his ribs in there. I had to break it off. But I put on another hook.
Like I could be driving down the freeway and see a 450 SL, and I could say, hey, I like that, you know? What does that mean to me? What will I have to do to get it? How can I do it, you know? And then go to work for it and strive for it. It kind of makes life easy. You know, I think that's why a lot of people don't. They get frustrated, they have emotional problems, is that they don't know how to cope with their mind. There are 3 things that, you know, that I've got to do, and that, you know, if anybody wants to do to be successful, is to have the desire, the want to, you know. Why do you go to work in the morning? You know, gee, why am I here? Because you want to, you know.
You have to do this in a hurry, because you're going to cover several places at one time. Not at one time, but as quick as you can, because they gobble better earlier part of the morning, and later in the morning they get the less they gobble. So you usually kill by 6, 7 o'clock at the latest. There's been a lot killed after that, but that's the cream of the hunting, from daylight to 6, 7 o'clock.
Sing big. Come on. Come on. I want my mama. Oh, so sleepy.
They took me upstairs. What floor, I don't know, but they put me in a little room. Gus Rose walked in. He had a confession there he wanted me to sign. He said that I would sign it. He didn't give a damn what I said. I would sign this piece of paper he's got. I told him I couldn't. I don't know what the hell you people expect of me, but there's no way I could sign that. He left. He came back in 10 minutes and threw a pistol on the table. Asked me to look at it, which I did. I looked. He asked me to pick it up. I told him no, I wouldn't do that. He threatened me. Again, I told him no. He pulled his service revolver on me.
I was 16 years old. Really had no real dealings with the court systems, etc. Didn't know how they worked, really, didn't know much about the law. Just a young, dumb kid. Police give you the time of this and the time this happened or whatever, and you just correlate from those events, you just estimate from that event what time it was. You don't know. You're taking a guess. Police tell you, well, it was 12:30 when this crime happened.
I remember reading that General Sherman, in the Civil War, the mayor of Atlanta pleaded with him to save the city. And Sherman essentially said to the mayor, just before he torched it and burned it down, war is cruel. War is cruelty. That was the way LeMay felt. He was trying to save the country. He was trying to save our nation. And in the process, he was prepared to do whatever killing was necessary. It's a very, very difficult position for sensitive human beings to be in. Morrison was one of those. I think I was. Mr. President, I have 3 questions to you. Number 1, did you know the nuclear warheads were there? Number 2, if you did, would you have recommended to Khrushchev, in the face of a U.S. attack, that he use them? Number 3, if he had used them, what would have happened to Cuba? He said, number 1, I knew they were there. Number 2, I would not have recommended to Khrushchev. I did recommend to Khrushchev that they be used. Number 3, what would have happened to Cuba? It would have been totally destroyed. That's how close we were.
And he was willing to accept that?
Yes. Oh, and he went on to say, Mr. McNamara, if you and President Kennedy had been in a similar situation, that's what you would have done. I said, Mr. President, I hope to God we would not have done it. Pull the temple down on our heads, my God. And it was very difficult. It was difficult for the president. There were very, very senior people in uniform and out who said, my God, this president is, they didn't use the word coward, but in effect, he's not protecting the national interest. Two days later, the Maddox and the Turner Joy 2 destroyers reported they were attacked.
Now, where are these torpedoes coming from? Well, we don't know. Presumably from these unidentified craft.
There were sonar soundings, torpedoes had been detected, other indications of attack from patrol boats. We spent about 10 hours that day trying to find out what in the hell had happened. At one point, the commander of the ship said, we're not certain of the attack. Another point, they said, yes, we're absolutely positive. And then finally, late in the day, Admiral Sharp said, yes, we're certain it happened. So I reported this to Johnson, and as a result, there were bombing attacks on targets in North Vietnam.